All right, guys, it's November 27th, 2020. We're popping off about politics again on a Friday night. Guys, remember, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's courage to continue that counts. And if you're out there, the likes, the comments, the shares, that's what keeps this thing going, man. So, guys, how was your Thanksgiving? Let's talk about Thanksgiving, man. There we go. There's a reaction. Yeah, I timed it up, man. I didn't want to interfere with his show, and you know that was that. So, anyways, so Larry was having a show, and he was had another comedian on, and guys, you got to check that stuff out. It's a lot of fun. Um, Daddy Gans, Tim, no disrespect, but libertarians are useless. That you know what, I'm like on the fence about that, right? We're definitely not useless. Human beings are not useless. The goals of the Libertarian Party, the goals of liberty are never useless. That so sure, like this year was our impact what we wanted it to be? No, they weren't. But Daddy Gang, thank you for joining us, and I appreciate that, brother. I don't care. You mock me, man. Bring it. You voted Trump and you're a black Democrat. Libertarians are useless. And you know what? Trump made significant gains in the black community. And why though? Why did you vote for Trump? Let's get a couple of those up there. Enable. You know what? I might do that. You want to debate me? Well, let's get to know each other better first, brother. I mean, if you want to come on, what do you want? What are we going to debate? What are we going to fight about? Because I'm not the kind of guy that does a lot of fighting, really, to be perfectly honest. But while you're here, think about why did you vote for Trump? Give me some reasons, and let's work on that first. But guys, while we're going, I have something that I want to share with you that it's kind of horrific, man. Let me get to it. Where is it? This one. Hang on. Bear with me. This sharing thing, guys, you know that I'm a kind of a novice deal here with this thing. And that's somehow the sharing is not doing what I want it to do. But guys, I've got this video of a Canadian barbecue. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but I posted it to my page. And hi, Michelle Ann. How are you? Thank you for being here. How was your Thanksgiving? Yeah, no, listen, man. Let's get to know each other. I'm all down for a respectful debate. I don't know how to enable calls. I can't even share a screen right now, and I've got a screen all loaded in, so I'm kind of frustrated. But let me work on that for a second. Well, tell Jay I said hi back. Debate, bring it. All right. Well, Daddy Gang, are you friends with me on Twitter? Let's see if we can work that out. I'll put you if you have a like a camera where you can put your face on, and we'll bring it up and we'll talk about what the deal is with libertarian principles, whether they're self-defeating. And actually, I think we could have some fun with it. And if it's not respectful, I just bust you out of here. So that's really probably no big deal. Let me see if I can find you on Twitter. Give me a minute, and I'll PM you a link to the show, because guys, listen, this is good stuff. All right, I'm not seeing you yet, man. Here, do it this way. We'll you find me on Twitter. Let me put that up here. All right, guys. Let's see. There we go. At Tim for Senate. Find me on Twitter. Send me a private message, and I'll send you back a link to the show. We'll put you right on. This, guys, this will be epic. These are the risks I'm willing to take. Hopefully, Daddy won't get me deplatformed here. That would be kind of awkward, right? All right, but let's keep the comments coming. Let's keep the questions coming. Yeah, no, right. I would do that, but I haven't quite figured that out. Yeah, right. We'll be respectful. That's cool. Eric Cooper. Hey, brother. What's going on today? Is this the Ron Swanson of Canandaigua, New York? Yeah, I will. If we work this out, guys, hang in there. We'll see if he can find me on Twitter and send me a message, and then I'll send him a link to the show, and we'll just put him right on, man. It'll be fun. Of course, I'm getting a little off my beaten path because nothing is going my way right now. Hang on. I still want to share this video. Hang on, bear with me. There we go. All right. So, guys, check this out. This is a barbecue up in Ontario, Canada. And look, the video is only a minute long. So bear with me and watch this stuff come together here. Look at that guy with his mask. That guy's epic. He is a hero talking to the cops. So basically, the owner of this barbecue was arrested for trespassing. But I want to point out something. First of all, that sign's depressing, right? Okay, the Canadian police are serious about not letting this guy get into his barbecue. Somebody want to explain this to me? There is, I think I counted, somebody else counted, 97 police officers, included mounted police, to keep this guy out of his own business who is refusing to shut down. What do you guys think about that? To me, it seems like the Canadians will stop at nothing to stop a guy from opening his own business, man. 97 police officers were stationed at this thing. How in the world does that even happen? Yeah, I'm wondering. He seems to have disappeared for a minute. Maybe we'll get him on. And I think that, again, I think this will be fun because I don't know what he means by self-defeating, and he wants to verbally talk to me about what's going on. John, let me share your blog. All right, guys, Defy the Power Thanksgiving Uprising. Check it out. It's all about shopping local. He's got some other things there that you might want to check out. Some other things that he wants to communicate to the world, and I think that that's important. So check that out if you get a chance. I believe Daddy Gang will be respectful too, man. Why not just try it? You know what I mean? What the heck? I know, brother. Can you imagine that? Like, jeepers creepers. Thank you, Jamie Edwards. Check it out. I told TJ, you'll appreciate this, that my half-grown beard could probably take him in a wrestling match because he's half-grown too. And the last time I have a picture of me and you, like 3-4 years ago when we were coaching our kids wrestling, and that was the last time I had a beard. But this year I think I'm going to go for it, man. I'm going to go for the full libertarian bushy look, and I'm going to take it right out there. You're welcome, brother, and thank you for being here tonight, and that's the important thing. And guys, look, this show might not go on for very long. I have been as busy as I've ever been when it comes to working and stuff like that, and then got a couple extra days off, so I took on this like project at my house that I just regret taking on. So I spent like 4 hours today sanding a sink. I have this old antique cast iron sink, and it's hard to get at because it's in my laundry room. So I was like basically scaling off like all sorts of stuff, and it took hours and hours and hours, and it was dusty and messy. And anyway, yeah, they ended up arresting the guy. They ended up arresting another guy who got a little bit physically violent with them. And guys, I don't understand why we would take anything that seriously. The people that are there want what the guy is offering as a product, right? Of course. So here they are, the police, 100 police officers. Think about what that costs. They had to be there for 2 hours, right? Let's say they make $50 an hour. So 100 times without benefits, guys. There's like $15,000 in that little operation to stop that guy from opening up his barbecue. How in the world does that happen, man? Yeah, I know. Thank you, brother. And thank you for being here, man. I try, man. Shelly Schultz, hello. How are you? Thank you for being here. How was your Thanksgiving? I, and let's talk about this, guys. I had a little bit of a debate with my brother and my mom last night. Not much, but like they were both like, "Well, why would you vote for Libertarian when Libertarians didn't even have a chance of winning?" And guys, also I want to point out that my brother's wife did vote Libertarian and was very happy when she figured out that Joe Jorgensen was a woman and running for president, and felt like she had a pretty positive impact. And guys, that's one of the things that Libertarian, we are not self-defeating in that way, for sure. So they grow on CO2. Solar panels are eliminating it. Yeah, no doubt. All right, I'm not getting a message from Daddy Gang 069. Brother, if you're still out there, man, just get at me. We can do this. We can do this another night as well, because I'm more than willing to have any kind of conversation. It can be a debate. I'm not like, guys, I don't, as you know, I made fun of the first debate with Chris Wallace and Joe Biden, and I felt that to be a very annoying, emotionally manipulative version of a debate. I was very, very, very disappointed in the mainstream media, and I'm always disappointed in the mainstream media. You guys know that about me. What they do and what they've done is consistently try to manipulate people into clicking their nonsense on the internet, because they are losing money. They're losing money to the internet. Okay, they're losing money to crazy guys like me who get on the show, get on a Facebook Live on a Friday night and have a conversation with everyone, and who offer their take on the news, who offer their particular slant on everything, which I do, and everything I offer is pretty much libertarian, liberty minded. And guys, there is a difference between libertarian minded, liberty, fighting for liberty. But I don't think that difference is as significant as some people want it to be. So we've got to work on that. How do we grow these circles? I guess there's like left libertarians and right libertarians, and Twitter is kind of like a place where they seem to be fighting it out more than they're fighting it out on Facebook. Frankly, if anyone's saying the government creates more problems than it solves, they're a libertarian, and they're welcome to join us in this debate, this moving forward. How do we grow this concept of liberty? How do we grow this concept of individual rights that every day we seem to watch them erode, Yes, I agree with that. And guys, in New York, your vote is your voice. And if you wanted to vote for Trump, that's fine. I respect it. There's things that Trump have done that step outside of the apparent system that look pretty good, okay? And I've mentioned several of them, but one in particular that I really like was when he wrote an executive order to allow importation of drugs from Canada, or cheaper methods and more efficient methods of delivery of pharmaceuticals. And believe me, guys, that is part of what hurt him. That's part of what made him an enemy of our current system. And that's part of what hurt him, because there's so much money in pharmaceuticals, and there's so much money in upcharging pharmaceuticals, that act in and of itself probably on some level might have cost him the election. Okay. Because guys, and you can see like Thomas Massey, you can see Justin Amash talking about how polluted this system is with corrupt money coming in, and how seats on planning boards for economic situations are up for sale for the Republican Party, for the Democratic Party, and how they fund those purchases through big businesses filtering into the parties, to the candidate, then back to the parties, and they buy themselves a seat. And it's like, yeah, that's real, guys. That's absolutely real. They try not to talk about it. It's not technically illegal. I wish that in some way they at least had to declare those things and be completely honest about how much they paid to get their seat on the Ways and Means Committee, for example, right? If they had to be honest about how much they had to pay to get that seat on the Ways and Means Committee, we would know more about these guys and who they are and who's funding them and what kind of legislation they're going to support. What kind of legislation is going to make it through their committee? We would know. But of course, they keep it quiet. All right. And yes, I'm glad you voted for Joe. I also voted for Joe. And I think it was a good idea. And in New York, guys, there was such a disparity in votes, okay, that there was no reason to not vote for Joe if you wanted to have impact. So let's just say Joe had been on the debate stage for that first debate. That first debate, which I again want to point out was absolutely mind-numbingly manipulative and horrible, okay, could have never happened. It could have never happened that way if Joe was on the debate stage. Chris Wallace could not have crafted questions that were deliberately trying to elicit this emotional response that I keep talking about. This desperate media. Oh, hey, Shelly. Hey, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I think that we do own the arena of ideas. But one of the problems is how do we communicate those ideas? How do we communicate that government doesn't answer our needs as well as we can? And guys, I talked to a guy, I want to have him on one of these days. He wants to crowdfund everything, right? He wants to say that if it's a good idea, we're going to pay for it out of our pockets. We'll all agree. Maybe we'll do lottery systems, like George Washington was a big fan of lottery systems. Roads, everything, like the nonprofit private industry can handle those things better than the government does, because the government has certain levels of inefficiency just legislated right into it. Guess, yeah, it's Friday night, sipping on some coffee or something. All right. And that's a good question. At what point does it become illegal? At what point are they committing some form of slander or some form of fraud? And I don't know the answer to that, because we have the First Amendment, which is a right to free speech and a right to assembly. And so they can offer their opinion on anything that they want, right? So as we saw with Trump especially, and guys, we're going to see it with Biden too. Like, trust me, all right? Hunter Biden is going to be the biggest issue of 2020 if Trump doesn't win, okay? Hunter Biden will be the biggest story. ABC, NBC, CBS are all going to be covering Hunter Biden clips that we all know exactly what happened there, okay? Like, we all know what he did. We all know who he was. And so 2020, when Biden gets inaugurated, practically the day after, every single mainstream news media, and guys, I've made predictions before, they come close. Trust me on this one. Hunter Biden will be the news of 2020. Period. What he's done, who he is. It was obvious to all of us back in 2017 what was going on there, okay? Period. This is a system that we're not part of. They go over, they sell influence to our Congress for things like we give them tanks. They sell influence, and our House of Representatives, which controls the purse string, says, all right, Hunter comes, makes a few donations. They say, here, what Ukraine needs is $400 million worth of lethal aid. $400 million of lethal aid. And guys, that's what the system is. Okay, so we're sitting here angry about the system, but that is exactly what the system is. And so 2020 is the year of Hunter Biden. That's when we find out, which we already know on some level who and what he is. That's when we find out what exactly he is. All right. Trust me, I'm telling you. They already started making noise about it. Maybe there is something, ABC News. Maybe there is something to this Hunter Biden story. Yes. Oh, really? Okay, so that's cool. You have some great stories, Shelly, and you have some great kids, and I think that's a total testament to who you are and everything like that. It's like, I'm very impressed. Guys, I had a funny little, and guys, if my kid's watching, Katie, if you're watching, don't worry about this. Guys, I'm a libertarian. My kid hasn't quite accepted that I'm a libertarian. She thinks that I'm a conservative pretending to be something that I'm not. So we had this conversation today. And I'm like, look, honey, I just want to say, guys like Biden and these big, neocons who want to control the world and they want us in this global economic, political structure seem to start a lot of military actions and a lot of wars, and she goes, And she knows that I voted for George Bush back in the day. And she goes, well, George Bush started a lot of wars too. And I'm like, yeah. And he voted for Biden. So there you go. He endorsed and voted for Biden. And she was kind of like, she doesn't like Trump at all. And so I get it. Like, I get not liking Trump. That's up to her. She's a bright kid. She's a brilliant kid. She's doing wonderful things with her life. But she comes back with, I kind of got her there. I got to be honest. It was pretty cool. Felt pretty good. All right. I ask people what issues they have, and I try to fit. Yes. Mostly. But our ideas are when our ideas are good, the goal is to share them, right? Because that's how we spread this notion of libertarianism, this notion of liberty, this notion of individual rights. And guys, I'm going to talk about something too, and I think we as libertarians don't talk about it enough. For us to be successful, liberty needs to equate to happiness. So the solutions that we come up with have to equate to happiness. If we want the Libertarian Party to grow, we have to say, this will make you happier. All right. So that means if your taxes are lower, what can you fund that you really feel good about? Things like that. What will make you happy to get you more involved in the system, more involved in enjoying your life? So that's one of the deals we've got to work on. You know what I mean? I know. Me too. I really that's how it's going to play out though, Shelly. I'm not kidding. Okay, like I'm making a bold prediction, like a newscaster might this time of year. You know what I mean? So what that means is after the election, we are going to have Hunter Biden 24/7. Trust me. I think you're making a pretty good point. I think we can go down through the list of things that they did with money, excuse me, that nobody holds them accountable for. They collect money from their friends and from small time players at 10s and 20s and 50s, and then big money from Saudi Arabia, and big money from Ukrainian officials, big money from Russian officials for their library and their Clinton Foundation, and then they take that money, the Haiti Relief Fund, right? Something like they took in of the money that they took in, I think it was like $6 million, if I'm remembering correctly, and I may not be, guys. I may just have made that number up so that I can keep going. So basically, what they do is like 20% of that money goes back out, and everybody goes, "Oh, look, we're great." You know what I mean? And people buy that. And then Trump raises money at a fundraiser for wounded veterans, right? And he uses that as a campaign stop, and he ends up having to like cancel out his. And guys, I didn't vote for Trump, but I get liking Trump, and I get like that the mainstream media used him as a wedge to get people upset and excited, and they did it just for money, guys. That's the reality. And guys, remember the likes, the comments, the shares. Check me out on YouTube. Check me out on Twitter. What does this mean? What does this mean, Marcus James Wilkins? Let me see your badge. Am I a Fed? Is that what you're saying? I am totally a Fed. There's no doubt about it. Literally, I don't know what you mean by that, brother, but you let me know, and we'll work through it. That's for sure. But by the way, brother, thank you for being here. That's the bottom line. I am trying to make a show. I am trying to have fun on Friday nights with my friends. Sometimes on Sundays. I have been busy since my attempt at getting elected. So I've been doing this a little bit less often than I would like. But that doesn't matter. Like we're spending time together. I think that's an important thing to do. And guys, I don't know. I don't have a badge, man. I'm just a guy that works and runs his mouth and went to SUNY Binghamton and graduated with a degree in economics. But I still work outside. And that's who I've always wanted to be. I got stuck behind a desk when I first got out of college, guys. Wasn't for me. I think he's speaking to me, and I think he may be teasing me about the fact. I don't know. It's a typical libertarian thing, guys. Like you joke about your favorite Fed, and that's how that goes. All right. So, guys, let's see what else we got. I'm looking to see if Daddy Gang sent me a message, but apparently he didn't. But down the road, guys, we will. I will. I'll talk to anybody, and guys, I should be more organized about getting guests on because I have a good time when I have guests on, And guests are fun. They want to sell something. They want to bring an idea. They want to talk to me about who I am. They want to talk to you about who they are. And I think that I want to do more of that. So I've got to get a little bit more organized if the show is going to move forward. And so that's on me. But guys, I wouldn't miss a Friday night if I was home. Guys, I was home all day thinking about what I was going to say. And then you get there and here I am hanging out. And man, yeah. And yes, I agree. No, right. You're correct. There is a variable in that, right? If Trump does, and I don't know if anybody saw his Thanksgiving presser. Okay, I guess he hadn't really had a presser in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So he had a presser Thursday night, and I just happened to walk into my mom's house and watch his presser. And guys, he's actually really good with the press, and he's actually done a lot to minimize their antics having impact on his show, on what he's trying to say. And so if he stays in office, obviously all bets are off. We won't be talking about Hunter Biden. We will be talking Trump 24/7, 365. They will impeach him again, or at least try to impeach him again. And there's a pivotal race in Georgia. I don't know if you guys are all entirely aware of it, but it's kind of fun what's going on in Georgia. They have a runoff election going on, and Trump's going to be there tomorrow night to campaign for the Republicans, which in a way, guys, I don't know. Sometimes Trump doesn't feel like a Republican, and it really feels like the Republican Party doesn't like Trump. So I think that's a great question and very prescient. Okay, like you're also on the same wavelength as I am. You're thinking it through. Excuse me. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we could use, guys, in New York to capitalize, because there is going to be an epic number of foreclosures, tax liens, and tax auctions in New York State. So, and this COVID, this government response to COVID, guys, has certainly put a government agency be so dedicated to keep a guy out of his own barbecue business, man. Honestly, like, what is that about? All right, so let me put this up. That's me. Remember the likes, the shares, the comments, guys. And as you guys are doing great, talk to each other too, man. So here's one. Whatever it is, that's right. It's something. Yeah, so here's another interesting thing. This is another interesting thing. People are exploring what used to be considered alternative media. And Newsmax is one of those things that's making huge inroads because they're not just pro-Trump. They're not just pro-right-wing talking points. They posted an article about, and it was really a well-written article, and I would like to find it again because it was fantastic. And it was around the time of the George Floyd incident. And it was clearly about how our young men and women who go overseas to serve our need to make sure oil flows freely, okay, they're held to a higher standard of interactions with the local populace than our police are. And guys, I'm not going to get negative on the police, but I do think that ending or cutting back on qualified immunity is an important thing. I think it's an important way to fix decision making that some police officers are seem to have trouble with. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, like, that Derek Chauvin, he's not getting convicted of murder. Right? Maybe he should. Maybe some people are going to be really upset about that, but he's not getting convicted of murder. It's not going to happen. May be convicted of reckless endangerment, may be convicted of excessive force. He's not getting convicted of murder. I'm going to tell you that right now. So alternative news like Newsmax, basically they did this huge article by this guy who wrote up this great thing about how our kids, that these 20-year-old kids, 19-year-old kids that we give guns, we send them overseas, they're held to a higher standard than a 15-year veteran on a police force. And that means that if they make a mistake, any kind of mistake like Derek Chauvin made, any kind of mistake like that, they're going to prison. Okay, they're going to some sort of Leavenworth type style thing for a couple of years or longer. And it was a great article and in a way it was referring to qualified immunity, was referring to higher levels of training for police officers to avoid violence. And guys, our upstate New York police officers are not experiencing this situation. They're not going to fail that situation. They're not going to be in the situations that police officers are in cities. That's real. Okay, so there's so much that we could do. Some of it, as upstate New York redneck libertarians, we don't see. Okay, so we're going to have a harder time understanding it. We kind of know who our police officers are. We're within a few people of talking to them directly if we have to. So that's an entirely different situation than what, let's say, Larry Sharp observes in Queens, or what someone else observes in their own community in a densely populated urban area. Those things are important to understand when we talk about qualified immunity, when we talk about our police officers, because we get into arguments over it. Guys, good cops don't want bad cops to ride in cars with them. They don't want that. They don't want to have to cover for that guy. Let's give them a mechanism to fix that. And guys, qualified immunity should have been on the table long before the George Floyd incident. It should have been a non-emotional way to deal with the government and bring it back to serving its community, to serving the human beings that it's supposed to represent, the human beings that it's riding roughshod over. Qualified immunity should have been on the table before this. It should be on the table after this, and it should be a rational response, not to a horrific incident, but a rational response moving forward through to offer our kids a better life, right? To offer police officers a better life, because there are good cops, and most of the cops are good, right? More than most, almost all of the cops are good. And guys, I know that makes people mad sometimes when we get into the libertarian circles. I don't care. Most cops, all of the cops that I know, are decent people, decent human beings, period. Now, that doesn't mean they would also like to have improvements in the system that make them more able to get rid of a bad cop. All right. Yes. It's a very interesting race. They have this Perdue and this Loeffler, and two senators that didn't get enough of the vote to actually assume the job. So they have to have a runoff election. Now, the immediate words out of the Ossoff guy, who is the Democrat running, was he went right to Liberty. He's like, look, if you guys end up electing me after this runoff, he went right to Liberty. He's like, I'm not going to be the guy the Democrat that gets rid of the filibuster. I'm not going to be the guy that goes to the Senate and just votes simpatico with the Democratic Party. That's what he said practically 2 days after the election, practically 2 days after he realized that he didn't win and that the other guy didn't win and he still has a shot. And that is all because of Shane T. Hazel, guys. All right, period. You guys saw him on my show. He's a great guy. He just did a show with Rand Paul. I'm very jealous, but also very happy to have known him, and very happy. Like, guys, I want to have Shane back on the show, and I should bug him a little bit more, because I think he would come on the show, because we certainly enjoyed each other. And guys, the people in my audience that were watching me then very much enjoyed Shane T. Hazel, and there's lots of reasons why. And so Rand Paul came on and talked to him, and it was great. And Rand Paul, guys, I'm a fan of Rand Paul. I'm a fan of Thomas Massey. I'm a fan of Justin Amash. And those guys don't all agree with everything that they say. They always, yes, guys, check this out. Ryan has been working hard to help this Brad Leo Lyon. And I think I want to help too, but I also am like fried out from actual political activity. I just want to do this show. I just want to get back to work, and I want to spread liberty this my way. But what Ryan is helping these guys work on, I think, could be an amazing kind of story, the way that they want to tell it. So guys, check this out. Go to that. Save that in your bookmarks, all right? The letspartymovie.com and stuff like that. And Ryan, if they want me to share a clip or something like that, let me know. If they want if they want to have a guy on the show to talk to me, let me know, because I will be glad to do that. Guys, remember, I see a lot of people in the thing, and I don't see as many likes as I would like to see, and guys, that's what keeps me going. So the likes, the comments, the shares, especially the likes right now. Let's give me a few more likes, because I'm spending some time. All right. All right, who's the worst, Shelley? Joe Biden, probably. I tried not to be, guys, when I came right down to it, I tried not to be anti anyone. I tried not to be anti-Trump. And it was easy for me to not be anti-Trump, okay? But I tried not to be anti-Biden. Like, did he bring anything to the table that had merit or value? I don't know. I think he's had a couple aneurysms. I think that we're putting ourselves in a strange place. Okay, like literally, Kamala Harris is going to be president at some point after Joe Biden takes over the presidency. That's a real thing. Okay. In the U.S., Walmart and Home Depots are safe, but barbecues and bars. How in the world is that become our dystopian reality? Like, how in the world did we get here? And guys, it excuse me. Does it go to how they have money and they pay for regulations? Does it? I mean, Facebook, I'm asking you, don't zook me on something like this, but like, is that the system? And like, I can go to the Family Dollar, but like, I can't go work out. It's weird. You're right. They don't get unqualified immunity. They don't get qualified immunity. They don't even get the benefit of the doubt. Every single thing that they go through gets examined. Every single situation where someone gets injured gets examined. Period. It's amazing to me that we hold 19-year-old kids with 6 weeks of training or 12 weeks of training to a higher level than we hold college graduate police officers. It's weird to me. Yes, Roger Waters, the Who the Who did an interview with Rolling Stone. It was interesting to hear how the rest of the world looks at us, highly militarized, speaking about both police and military in foreign countries. We do so much. We have so many bases in foreign countries. It boggles the mind. There's so many things that aren't being reported on that are happening in foreign countries that people don't really know about, that we should know about, that we should be talking about every day. That if we had a news media that wasn't desperate for clicks, likes, and people fighting, because that's what they're desperate for. Okay, we should have that information. I think that's a good point, right? I think that when we're hearing a guy, we would have, yes, there's a real, Ryan and I have talked about it in the past. What would we have stopped Derek Chauvin? Would we have gone up to him and made a scene? I think it's likely that a lot of us would have. I don't know though. And again, George Floyd had a history in that neighborhood that. So I'm telling you right now, again, like Derek Chauvin's not getting convicted of. He's not going to jail for life. He's not. Yeah. Hey, thank you for being here, brother. By the way, I do think that that's a reality that we have to face. So a lot of upstate New York sheriffs are saying, look, we're not enforcing Cuomo's mandates. Okay, we're not going to go house to house on Thanksgiving handing out tickets. But guys, what he's saying here is also true. All right, when gun control measures get turned up a notch, all right, most likely the cops are going to come to your door and either you give them your guns or they come in and take them, guys. That's it. They've done it. And so, right. So they do. There's this issue of they're just doing their job. And that's real and that's unfortunate. And moving forward through life, I hope that we move away from that. But it's tough. So you understand what I'm saying, Andy? Like it's a true story, right? Like we've read the articles. Shane T. Hazel talked about it. I have a friend that's a paratrooper. We're working together on this project. We talk about it every day. His son was deployed, came back, and is suffering because he was in intensely stressful situations where he was not entitled, guys, to defend himself. And he should have been entitled to defend himself. But if he had, he would have ended up in prison for a long time. We are under the what we're trading is the illusion of freedom for the illusion of happiness from promised to us by the collective. Okay, the collective of government saying, and guys, with modern monetary theory, what they're doing, the way they're spending money. First of all, I don't understand it. I'm an economics guy, graduated with a BA in economics. This stuff doesn't make sense. And you guys have all heard, I hate to be so repetitive. You've all heard me say it before. Okay. But there is an illusion of freedom. It's almost like we're in this feudal system where they're telling us we're happy, and we're not really happy anymore. We have crossed this barrier of the government is just simply doing too much and not getting out of our way enough. And when I look at, in particular, Otsego County, you can see, guys, that the burden that government has put on us has cost us a lot of things. We don't have affordable housing because taxes are too high. You can't rent a single family house in Otsego County because taxes are too high. People want to say it's because of the colleges, because of tourism, but there are houses all over Otsego County falling into the ground. All over Otsego County falling into the ground. Okay? Okay, yeah, I almost said Pink Floyd. It's okay, brother. I'm glad you're here, man. Me and you got to do this live. If you want to do it Sunday night, give me a thumbs up in the comments. We'll go live Sunday night, about 8 o'clock if you want to, or 8 o'clock probably work. Guys, it's Emory Liberty. If you get a chance, check out Wayne County Libertarian page. If you get a chance, check out Emory Liberty's page. He's trying to make an entry into Twitter. We're trying to get him to feel more comfortable there. All right. Cuomo is the worst, guys. And yes, Pink Floyd, it almost, yes. Those guys are deep thinkers, man. I know. AOC, Dr. Fauci, and Andrew Cuomo. Guys, I don't know. Like, you guys are all living in New York, okay? Here we are in New York. Schools are closing. The virus avoidance strategy clearly didn't work. Mask mandates. Every little town, every little city has rewritten their laws so that people have to wear masks when they're out and about in their communities. Mask mandates have not prevented the spread of the virus, okay? And so what happens now is people go, well, people aren't listening to the mask mandates. They are. Every time I go in a store, everybody's got a mask on. Every time I go in a restaurant, if people are standing up, they've got a mask on. If they're sitting down, they take their mask off. Guys, I gotta be honest. Like, what is the science there? If you're sitting down, how in the world does wearing or not wearing a mask? How all of a sudden, because you're sitting down, guys, answer this question. How all of a sudden, because you're sitting down, do you avoid the coronavirus? Either you do or you don't. Like, either you get it or you don't, and that's the reality, man. He's not joking. He's right. Cuomo, yes. I love it. Ryan Bedford, your energy that you bring to the liberty movement is beyond appreciated by me, man. All right, let's get to this one. Yeah, because of what's happening, like what I said, how we've started to hold our kids that we send overseas to a higher standard. Now all of a sudden, mayors are giving police officers impossible directives where people can break the law, vandalize, commit violence, and the police officers can't even begin to do their job. Mayors are issuing them, so of course they're going to quit, right? And some of the ones that are quitting probably are the good guys. They're not hanging out waiting for a chance to get in trouble and lose their job. Why would they? They can leave Asheville, North Carolina, and move on. Right. Bingo. Okay. Derek Chauvin is charged with second-degree murder. They must prove that he applied his knee to Lloyd's neck and he intended on killing him or do him grievous bodily injury, right? You don't have to be charged with second-degree murder. It has to be, if I'm remembering it correctly, your action has to be grievous enough that it could cause that. And it's not just, so you're right. He may walk. Let's hope he doesn't. I think that he needs to be convicted of something. And hopefully, a lot of times they overcharge and hope to get an agreement, and those agreements have teeth, and they're actually a more powerful way to enforce the law. And he may, if I was him, and that I've got nothing to lose, I would fight it until the end. So yeah, he may walk because they did overcharge him, and that would be interesting. That would be as interesting as Trump all of a sudden turning this whole situation around and being president for another 4 years. That will create a lot of chaos. There, yes, correct. Taxation, guys, philosophically pure libertarianism, taxation is theft. I love it. Put the pressure on him, brother. I love it. Well, he might, right? If Larry Sharp doesn't at least run, Ryan's gone. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay, there it is. Yes. If he runs and doesn't win, though, will you stay? That's a fair question. Yes. All right, let's see. They don't make enough. There's never enough money, guys, to put yourself at risk constantly. There's never enough money to put yourself, especially again, we get into these places where there's a lot of violence going on, where property is getting burned up. There is not enough money to enforce unenforceable laws, to enforce laws where you're punishing your neighbor for trying to go into his business. There's not, your soul cannot be paid enough money to compensate for that. But then there's the double-edged sword of they will, for their paycheck, do certain parts of the job that can hurt their neighbors. But yes, you're absolutely right, though, Mountaineer Maniac. You've got, and thank you for being here, brother. You're a new face. I appreciate that. She did. She made him a shirt like think it's not illegal and stuff like that. It's epic stuff. That's really, really cool. I see, Johnson. All right, let me get going down here. Work my way down through these. My oldest kid is in Richmond, Virginia. I don't believe that my next two kids are going to stay in New York unless something drastic happens where all of a sudden the economy explodes. And based on the amount of regulation I'm seeing, how is that even possible? Right? How does that happen? How does the economy explode? I don't know. Guys, I don't know. Stop unfunded mandates. That's a step in the right direction. And you guys, yeah, and John's down in Florida, and he's selling liberty there. You know, I don't know, man. I'm tempted. I will get my kids out of high school first before I leave, but I'm tempted, right? I'm tempted. You know, okay, that's going to be a lot of work, man. How much work are you willing to do? I don't know if you saw the show, guys. I shared on my Twitter page, but Austin Peterson and Larry did a show together, and it was kind of epic. Okay, I like Austin Peterson a lot. I don't care what anybody says. He makes a lot of good points. Yes, he does make some very controversial comments, and some of that is to attract attention and to show people who everybody is. I get it. I get it. I get what he's doing. I get who he is. I like that. It's okay with me. But him and Larry had a great conversation, and it was about like what Daddy Gang was saying. Like, does the Libertarian Party work? Does it work? And Austin is saying the Libertarian Party doesn't work, and he has a very special story. You guys ought to kind of check out what his story is and how William Weld and Gary Johnson kind of, won the LP presidential nomination over him, and how I think it was Austin could have been the vice presidential candidate, and he was willing to do that. And Weld stepped in with money and kind of got himself inserted in the process. So, guys, and even Larry Sharp will say it, it's like national political parties, and I think Democrats and Republicans will say it. National political parties, guys, they're all the same thing. They're power brokers. They're in it for money. And that's too simplistic. Forgive me for just going there like that. But well, and by the way, Ryan's mom, thank you for being here. I think that's freaking awesome. I really, really, really appreciate it. Independent thinking leads to liberty. That's why you're here checking out this show and having this conversation with me. That's why Ryan is the way that he is. And that's the bottom line, guys. All right, we got it. Here we go. Why not, man? Let's do it. I mean, I'm willing to do what I can to help Larry get elected. That's the bottom line. All right. And that's if Larry decides to run, right? Go Bills. They're having a good season, guys. They're giving me hope again. It's great. I love that comment, Shelly. You're right. My mom's name is Mary, and she's a great mom. She does a good job. And look, Chris, I respect that opinion as well. I totally get that opinion. Now, I enjoy what I would call chaos, okay? And guys, you got to forgive me for that. So, like, if someone says something that makes someone else mad and the person that gets mad gets irrational, like, I'm sorry, but that makes me laugh, okay? And that's like, it's like, I don't laugh when people fall down and hurt themselves, okay? I really don't. I don't enjoy that. But when someone gets mad at someone else because they're testing them and pushing them, and so I do, and Austin Peterson does a lot of that. But dude, Chris, thank you for being here. By the way, you're another new face. I'm getting a lot of new faces tonight, and guys, I don't know, I get goosebumps when that happens. But so thank you for being here. Don't get totally mad at me. Hang in there. We're talking about liberty, and just because I like or made some comments that I do like Austin, like I said. But just because I do like Austin and some of the things that he does, doesn't mean you and I can't get along and figure out goals that we can work on to equate libertarianism with happiness for people in our communities, because that's what's going to change the dynamic, guys. Oh, well, yeah. And look, guys, honestly, when he was on that show with Larry, he was eating pizza. And it was I thought it was kind of impolite, because if I'm on the show with Larry, and maybe some of you guys saw me on the show with Larry, when he reached out to all of the libertarian candidates that he could find all over the country, I was luckily one of those guys. And guys, it was an epic moment in my life. Like, I enjoyed that 45 minutes of talking to Larry. So much that when he did his full 62, and Senate District 51, guys, encompasses 9 counties, I went to all of his stops that I could, that where it overlapped into my counties. One, Queter was running a race. Thomas Daniel Queter was running a race. Basically, I thought I had been invited, but it was for Queter that day, and there was a press guy there. So that was one I went to that I didn't get to speak. But Larry shared his platform with me every single chance he got. And guys, when Larry shares the platform with you, everything he'll do is to help you look good. Like, if you get up there and ramble on about something and you don't quite bring the message home, Larry gets up there and brings it home for everyone. And that's who that guy is, man. So that's why I try not to interrupt the shows. That's why when he has a great idea, that's why if you guys want to learn more about who Austin is and who Larry is and how they communicated, I would suggest watching that show. It's better than watching CNN. And guys, if he disrespected you, and I could see it happening. Yeah. I believe it. Yeah. In regards to Austin and all the LP candidates, we need to ask them, will you leave the party crying if you don't get the nomination? Guys, I have a suggestion, and I think it will solve a lot of problems, and it relates to what you're saying here, John. And it's, bear with me on this. Like, Larry's kind of been running for governor in a way and feeling the waters for now, since he ran for governor, since before he ran for governor. Now, after he ran for governor, he stayed in the game, right? So Larry could tomorrow, guys, and this is with all due respect to Larry, because he wouldn't do it on purpose, but he could say something really stupid that makes everyone mad at him. Okay. He could say, just, I don't know, he slips up, says something stupid, calls somebody a jerk or whatever, right? But he's made this deposit in this public emotional bank account, right? When we talk about relationships, we're supposed to make deposits in an emotional bank account because we care about the people that we're with. And then when we make a mistake, because we made enough deposits in an emotional bank account, and guys, bear with me. I know this is a long story, okay? A long thought. But when we make deposits in this emotional bank account, we build up trust and we build up affection. So when we then do something stupid like forget about our anniversaries, if we've built up enough trust and compassion with our significant other, they will forgive us. And guys, that's a psychological thing. Okay, I took some psychology in college too. So with Larry, if Larry was to say something really out of character for him tomorrow, all right, we would all be able to forgive him because he has done so much work to help all of us all the time. What the LPNY needs, guys, that's what the LPNY needs. Or if we want a viable candidate, okay, we need a viable candidate who says, you know what I want to be? I want to be the Libertarian Party candidate in 2024. And he could start tomorrow, or she could start tomorrow, okay? Because then they can build up a relationship with us. They can ask us for money. They can come to our events. They can even, via the internet, they can come to our events and have conversations with us. And then, like Joe did with that Black Lives Matter tweet that guys, you have to understand that Ron Paul libertarians did not like that Black Lives Matter tweet because it was a direct quote. Whether she did it on purpose or not, I don't care. It was a direct quote from a Marxist, okay? She sought to capitalize on the movement, and that's fine. But it was done poorly. And guys, this is with all due respect. I voted for Joe, okay? If I voted for Trump and I wanted to criticize Trump, I'd criticize Trump. Joe handled that tweet poorly. It shouldn't have been said. It could have been not tweeted, just very simply. But her lifespan, her shelf life, guys, starting in April or May and running through September, she didn't build up enough of an emotional deposit in an emotional bank account, right? Period. So that's what needs to happen. Like, let's say Justin Amash decides that he wants to be the LP candidate, right? And he starts campaigning next week. And he's willing to have conversations on this show or whatever show, or the Lions of Liberty, or any show that wants to talk about liberty. And then let's say he runs over his neighbor's cat. Like, we can all forgive him, right? Because then we know who he is, right? So that's the thing that a Libertarian Party candidate needs. Trump had been in the public eye for decades. We knew what he was. We knew who he was. We knew he was going to say things like "you're fired" and dumb crap. Biden, same thing, guys. Honestly, Biden, just because he's been in the public eye for so long, that's the only reason that he got the presidency. Okay, because honestly, he's a plagiarist. He's an admitted plagiarist. He had to withdraw from one presidential race because he was a plagiarist. Like, these things, the Ukraine things would have sunk him if he wasn't an entrenched political figure. That's what I'm talking about. That's what the Libertarian Party needs. 2-3 people that say, look, I really, really, really want to be the LP, man. All right. Oh, let me move down through some of the comments. Oh, I got that one. I'm sorry. That was a good comment, John. That really, that made my brain work. So I appreciate it. Yeah, no, and feel free to share that story with me if you want to. You're it's up to you. I I love that. I prefer to debate and discuss rather than debate, debase, and discuss. Cuomo being and guys, I step outside of my normal behavior pattern when it comes to Cuomo. He really, really bothers me. Like, yeah, he's an authoritarian, and guys, when I hear him talk, I am not at all stimulated by his intellect. I don't think it's there. Right. So what I'm saying, Rent, if you're correct, that is on the mark correct. When she made that tweet, she lost 50% of the support. Okay, done. People knew that I was running. They came to me and said, "What? How in the world am I going to vote for her?" And I'm like, "Look, I can't tell you who to vote for. Your choices are these two guys. I think that you ought to think about voting for." And I think that the people that asked me that question came back around and said, "Yes, that will be who I vote for." Right. So, Chris, if we want to grow the circle, I get it. Now, I get that. Okay. It's just that she sought to capitalize on an emotional moment in society. And those things have a way to blow up in people's faces. And that's what happened. She quoted a Marxist, and it was a mistake, and she shouldn't have done it. Brother, I do. You know that, man. You know that. And guys, he's just the right guy for the job. So that's the reality. And that's the thing, guys. That raising everyone's awareness is important. And yeah, this is a fair question too. And guys, that's how we do. We have conversations with our friends about Larry Sharpe and have them watch the show and have them watch my show and share my show and share his show. And hopefully, guys, we grow this circle. We grow it out into the Democrat Party, out into the Republican Party. And guys, I've met a big group of friends. I made a big group of friends, guys. They all are Republicans, period. Okay. Now, I got to teach them who Larry is and why Larry would be a great idea for New York, New York State. And hopefully we come to an agreement on that. And maybe we won't, right? That's still up to them. This is a good question. Did she really have that support anyway? That, to me, brother, is unknown at this point. This was a strange election cycle. There was a ton, guys, of emotion behind everything. Now, we've got to look at the vote totals. Okay, number one, if Biden got 80 million votes, which if he did, okay, that's the number one vote total for any presidential candidate ever. But guess what? The number two vote total for any president ever was gotten by Trump. So this year wasn't an interesting year. And guys, I've talked about mail-in balloting. We'll talk more about it, but we'll talk about the economic opportunity costs to voting, especially in upstate New York, and why, if we decide to embrace mail-in voting, because it's not going away, guys. I'm telling you right now, once that foot is in the door, it's not going away. So yes, she may not have had that support. She may not have. I don't know. I liked her. I offered her time on this show. I offered her time to come on. And it never came together, and she never really, her campaign manager never really got back to me, and that kind of frustrated me. So whatever. Yes. Ken Armstrong was my guy. I liked Ken a lot. Ken and I are still friends on Facebook. I like Hornberger. I thought that the Larry Sharpe Judge Gray combination was very powerful. And again, as I've come to trust Larry, I trusted his judgment on Judge Gray. Period. So I know. I hope they are, man. I hope he sees this or he sees a clip of it or whatever, and he's just like, all right, Tim's not so bad, and he's paying me back for all that time I gave him. Yes, every Cuomo complaint we give a Larry solution. That's correct. I liked him. He was so radically conservative sounding and yet anti-war that he encouraged me to be able to really, and guys, I've always been anti-war. George Bush's policies, military policies, made me consider libertarianism. I was a small government conservative. That was a promise that George Bush made and didn't keep anyway. And then he just went to war all over the world. So Hornberger sounded conservative, and boom, he just made me more comfortable saying, I don't want children dying on foreign soil. I just don't, for the free flow of oil. None of that. I don't want it. It's bull crap. It's baloney. It's awful. It's horrible. And it's got to stop. Yes, the Michelle's and Shelley talking about Larry. I love it. She's cool, and she drinks bourbon. There's lots of good things there. It's okay. And Spike, guys, you're right. Let's put that up there. Let me put that up there. But Spike is witty, charismatic, and funny, and those things are important. So, do we now have Justin Amash and Spike as potential people to run for president? Or what about Larry Sharpe running for president, guys? What about, and I know that we want him in New York, but what about Larry Sharpe running for president? I think, and guys, the LP National doesn't like Larry. They always see, or at least, I don't know. Why wouldn't they like Larry? I don't understand that. Yes, I guess he was. He's a brilliant mind. Absolutely. Okay. So when we got okay, you all right, well, and again, well then thank you even more for hanging out here with me because I am always been independent minded, okay? And I joined the Libertarian Party like 3 years ago and that's thanks to Larry Sharp. But always been independent minded, always kind of hoped for less from the government because I could see where that would benefit my communities and my children. And so finally I found the Libertarian Party thanks to Larry Sharp, right? So I am and I always kind of knew it existed, but people who know the history, people that have lived the history, that's very important to me. I I don't know, like the problem, not the problem, but if he sticks with it, will he build up that emotional credit that I'm talking about? He could, but he's also like a humorist. He's brilliant, but does he actually really want to be president? You know what I mean? Like that's something. Okay, why? Why? Why not Larry Sharp? I mean, because he'd be good for New York. That's a great reason. But why not? You know, it's my question. The Bush clan, guys, they just ruined it for me. Right, right. But you know what, Shelly? Think about this. We're getting older, man. Like, what's our shelf life for real? The dedication there, right? Who do we want it from? I get it that Amash is not very charismatic, and he seems to harbor a grudge, like in a way that I just doesn't even. I don't understand. He harbors a grudge against Trump, and that's fine, but I just don't get it. Okay, start small and build, right? And that's what we're doing, Michelle. Right? That's what we're doing. So that's good. I agree. Right, and that's what my friend Shane T. Hazel did in Georgia. They're noticed. They put themselves on the map. My mom actually even said she was mad at libertarians because she wanted Trump to have a clear victory, which was pretty funny. Listen, the default position that libertarians would have voted for Trump if Joe wasn't available is also wrong. Okay, let's be clear about that. That it might break like 70-30, 60-40, but it's going to break both ways, right? If libertarians don't have a candidate and there's 100,000 libertarians, 60,000 of them might have voted for Trump and 40,000 of them might have voted for Biden. Maybe. That would be my guess. Oh, yeah. That would be pretty cool. All right. All right. I kind of want a reason, but that's all right. We don't have to do that tonight. Like, let's hang out some more. Guys, it's been over an hour. I feel like I could do this forever sometimes, and tonight is one of those nights. But and guys, I started with nothing prepared. I thought maybe it was going to go 15 minutes. This was great. Thank you all for all the comments. This is an absolute blast. I think Larry's a few months younger than me, too. 10 years younger than you. Are you sure Larry's like, he's in his 50s? He's like 2 months younger than me. I'm pretty sure. Yes, thank you. I agree. And guys, there may be guys. I like I said, I root for chaos. You know, I only because with chaos we realize how important we are to each other. Not because I'm actually rooting for violence and mayhem, okay, but because we can then realize that what we can do together is more important, way, way more important. And guys, so I'm going to call it pretty good. I listen. Yep, I listen to Rush Limbaugh, and I still do. And I listen to Glenn Beck, and I still do. I enjoy them. So, anyways, oh, get out of here! I don't even believe that, Michelle. I think you're fibbing. Not kidding. But guys, thank you very much. We actually went an hour and 10 minutes, which I guys is fantastic. Thank you all for being here. This is a blast. Go have a Friday beer and get some sleep, you guys. Thank you, John, for being here. Take care, everybody. I had a blast.